Look, an account manager is one of the most important roles that you can hire for in your business. They talk to all the clients and they're the first point of contact for any issues that pop up during delivery. It's very important that you get the right person talking to the clients because it directly impacts your referral and your retention rate. I've hired over 100 account managers for various different agencies from all different types of niches. Helped Connor with Social Scout hire 10 in the last 9 months. Helped Max Wellcopy make 17 hires, and Mark at Dahaus Digital make over 24 hires. For context, all these guys are in e-com email, so they need their account managers to be from US agencies, have 3 to 5 years of experience, and know e-com email like the back of their hand. They have to be those experts in email strategy and be able to lead a team or a pod of people doing the execution work. In today's video, I'm going to explain how you should hire an account manager. The very first thing that you should start off with is not putting up a bunch of job ads or writing the job description. It's, do you actually need an account manager? Usually it's one of the last hires that you make inside of a team or inside of a pod. If you're around 25 to 30K a month, you're probably the account manager because you're talking to all the clients, you're handling the strategy, and you're still overseeing the execution of day-to-day fulfillment. The hire at this point might seem a little bit scary because it's probably going to be about 3K to 5K full-time US. But once you get a really good account manager, it's going to unlock the amount of time that you have to actually just put it back into the business and grow. If you're a more established agency, how do you figure out when to hire another account manager? You probably have 3 or 4 already. What you need to do is you need to lay out benchmark metrics. These are the weekly calls, the communication time inside of Slack, how long it takes them to actually do their job. If they're working 40 hours a week, you can assume that 30 of those hours are actually productive and have that capacity. The other 10 hours is probably internal communication, admin, and small updates. Before you hire an account manager, you should know how many clients can a good account manager realistically handle. If you put too many clients on an account manager, the response times are going to be poor, the quality of decisions they make are going to be bad, the client retention will drop, and the AM is going to be working overtime. This is not attractive for anyone who's a really good account manager. They're always going to ask you, hey, how many clients am I managing? Is it 8? Is it 10? And there's certain benchmarks that you need to pay attention to. This is something you have to benchmark out on yourself first. Realistically, you can probably handle a couple more clients than your best account manager. Knowing that, if you can handle 10 clients, your best account manager can probably handle 8. Now, this is really just an estimate. It depends on the business and the industry and the agency that you're in. If you're signing a lot of clients through paid ads or another acquisition channel and you're scaling quickly, you're going to see a lot of clients being added and you're going to think, hey, I need to get another account manager. If you see the capacity of the account manager is at 8 and you know they can only do 8, then the problem is you're too late to hiring. You needed someone basically like yesterday. If you see they're at like 6 and they have a little bit capacity left, 20, 30%, then what you're able to do is start hiring for an account manager ahead of time. You start hiring about a month ahead of time. You're never going to have to turn off your ads or stop marketing or get back in the weeds. You can just keep growing. At the end of the day, it's all benchmark metrics and numbers. How many clients can you handle? How many clients do you have right now? What does lead flow look like? How many clients are you getting every single week based on the close percentages and the acquisition channels? How can you estimate out when you need to hire? You want to hire when someone's about 85%, 80% capacity. Because if you have a growing business, you're at this 50K, 100K a month mark, you're going to add more clients. You're going to need to have an account manager very quickly. If you hire too late, what's going to happen is you're going to have to settle for someone who it just seems good enough. And you're like, hey, I need someone right now to just start talking to the clients. And that's not what you want because that person's not going to have a good onboarding. They may not even be the right culture fit for your organization. And you just had to throw someone in there to basically cover the bases. Now, do you think those clients that you're signing, are they going to have a good experience with your company if they're just talking to someone who was just hired 2 days ago? No, they're not going to. So you're basically hurting your brand just because you didn't take the time to do the due diligence to know your capacity and know when to hire and plan it ahead of time. And now that we know when we should hire for an account manager, let's start talking about the duties of the account manager. What are they going to be doing on a day-to-day basis? If you are writing a job description and you're like, hey, I need them to do strategy. I need them to talk to the clients. I need them to do the team. I need them to also advise me on my meetings. I need them to also help me with video editing. I need them to also help me with appointment setting. Like a bunch of these different things, they sound really funny with the way I connected all of them, but a lot of times I see people making account managers do this. The account manager is a specialist. You want them working on the strategy. You want them overseeing the execution and talking to the clients and eliminating you from having to look at these roadblocks with the clients because they're just so good at their job. That's what you want the account manager to handle. Every time you add on another activity that they need to do, you're lowering the capacity of clients that they can handle. And it also becomes just really hard to recruit for that type of role because you can't find someone who's an expert in 8 different niches. They're just specialized. Just pick a couple the most core things that go to the role, and you will be successful with the hire. Now, where do you find account managers? The reality is good talent exists all across the globe, in Latin America, in Africa, in Europe, and in Southeast Asia. But what we found makes the most sense is you want your account managers to be as close as possible time zone wise to your clients. If you're in California, it doesn't make sense to hire someone 9 hours ahead of you in Poland. It's just not going to work out when there's a 5 p.m. message from a client and that person's already offline. It's the middle of the night there for them. So instead, you should probably hire from Latin America. Look at Mexico, look at Colombia, look at Argentina. Those are much better places. If you're on the East Coast of the US, you're in New York, you're in Florida, wherever it may be on the East Coast, you can use Europe. It's only 5-6 hour time difference for some countries, and it's very, very effective. There's great talent there. You should be looking for account managers who have 2 to 3 years of agency experience, preferably US agency experience, and preferably your niche. If you run Google ads for e-com brands, go try to find an account manager who runs Google ads for e-com brands. Google ads for B2B is not the same as Google ads for e-com brands. There's little nuances and differences. So it's best to have someone who really knows the differences and has already existed inside of a similar agency and really knows what they're talking about. Now, depending on the different niche or industry that you're in, you can't always find an abundance of people outside the US who speak English super well, who would fit your exact agency type. So you might have to settle for someone who is an adjacent industry, but their English is very, very good. The thing you never want to settle on is the presentation and the English quality. If you put one of your clients with an account manager who really struggles speaking English, doesn't have good presentation, it's going to send the wrong message to your clients. They're going to be like, hey, why did I pay this person $10,000, $15,000? And suddenly they have someone who doesn't speak English, doesn't really know what's going on inside of my ad account or inside of my email campaigns. What's really going on here? They're going to default and start looking for other different agencies who maybe hire in the US or just have better account managers in general. The biggest thing with hiring an account manager is your clients want to work with an expert. That's why they signed on to work with you. They couldn't get results on their own. They tried a bunch of different things, and they paid their hard-earned money to you to help them get XYZ result. Your team should be an extension of your expertise. You need someone who can think clearly, act critically with the clients, and know how to make the right decisions. This is part of the reason that you don't want to wait till you're over capacity, have to turn off ads, and then just settle for whoever comes around. This needs to be a very well thought out and strategic hire. So at the end of the day, this role is very strategic and it's pure leverage. It's the person who's protecting your retention, they're protecting your referrals, they're protecting ultimately your reputation as a business. If you hire this wrong, it's going to cost you all 3 of those. But if you hire this right, it's going to buy back your time and give you that ability to actually scale without having to turn off ads or dial down marketing. I've hired over 100 plus different account managers across different agencies and niches. There's very clear patterns on what makes a winning account manager and what makes a losing account manager. If you're at a point where you're thinking of hiring one, or you want to hire another one for existing pod that you have, and you want help doing it properly, there's a link down below. We could walk through what it looks like hiring with Zabota and see if it makes sense.